And today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever you see this video, I wanted to address something that has came up plenty of times with different guys I've been coaching lately. And it's interesting. And the biggest thing is they tell me that they keep having arguments, disagreements with their wife or their fiance. And the thing that keeps happening is they keep getting frustrated. They keep getting upset and they're trying to figure out what to do because they're stuck. They're stuck because they're watching the videos. Some of them are trying counseling. And I get it because when you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship with a woman, and every time that there's an argument or a disagreement, it escalates. You get upset, you get frustrated because she doesn't understand your point of view. You're not emotional enough. You're not listening, and it's just frustrating. I get it. And that's why I wanted to jump on here and make this video because I know there's a lot of you guys out there that are dealing with the same thing where you just want peace of mind. You want peace of mind because you didn't get into a relationship or a marriage to have all of this turmoil, all of this frustration, all of this disrespect, all of this distant, everything that you can imagine that you didn't want in a relationship, that is what you're getting and you don't want that anymore. I understand you don't want that anymore. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about something very important, and that is what to do. What exactly do you do when you've tried everything that everyone tells you? You see on social media, you see on YouTube, you read in books, maybe seen in magazines. You tried everything, but for some reason, you just keep getting frustrated when you get into a disagreement, an argument, whatever it is with your wife, your woman, your fiance. You don't want to feel like that anymore. You don't want to feel like you would rather be single. You don't want to feel like you rather be alone. You don't in your mind you're thinking that is this all a relationship is about? Is this all the relationship is about? Is just getting into a relationship and you're thinking about it's supposed to be beautiful, it's supposed to be this and that and fairy tales and rainbows and all this other crazy crap. You think that that is what a relationship is about or a marriage is about. But when you get into a relationship, you're wondering as a man, why is this relationship not working out? Why are we constantly arguing? Why are we constantly bickering at each other? Why is she withholding sex? Why is she going cold? Why are we disagreeing on everything? Why does she annoy me? Why do I annoy her? All these things are going through your mind, and you're starting to think, is a relationship actually worth it? Maybe you're thinking that all the younger guys that say, hey, don't get married, don't get into a relationship, maybe you're starting to think that there's merit to what they are saying. Maybe that's you. If that's you or you understand where I'm coming from, give me a thumbs up so I know that you're watching or you're listening, or give me a comment. Let's see, Paisley. Hey, bro, what's up? How's your day? Hey, appreciate it, man. It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. I can't complain. How's your day going? Thanks for asking, by the way. So this video, I know you just might have jumped on here. Pretty much just talking about, what exactly do you do when you're in a relationship and things were kind of going good, except now you think, well, I was better off when I was single, or I was better off when I was just dating, but now I'm in a relationship and I just don't even know if it's worth it anymore. Like, there's more to life than just a relationship or marriage. That's what this video is about. It's about telling you and helping you on what to do. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I want you to have some type of clarity after you leave this video by tonight. You will walk away with a lot more clarity, a lot more confidence, And it's kind of like what I do in my clarity sessions when I talk to guys, not a coaching session, just a clarity session to really see exactly where they're at, what's stopping them from getting to where they want to go, and the next steps that they need to take to get there. So, the first thing I want to say is if this is you, I want you to think about this. It's you, it's your fiance or girlfriend or wife, whatever. It's you and your woman. It's you and your woman, and things are just going fine. But you start to notice a pattern, not within her, but within yourself that, damn, every time we have a disagreement, I always get upset. Or every time we have a disagreement, I start to have these thoughts of resentment. Or every time there's an argument, whatever it is, you notice that you don't think and you don't feel the same way that you did when you first started dating the woman you're with. Or maybe when you were engaged, living together, when you were having fun, when you were dating, all this fun stuff, you notice that you don't think the same as you used to. So now you're confused, you're stuck, and you don't know what to do. I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that, let me pause for a second because I like to read my comments. I'm here for you guys. Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. Am I saying your name right, Paisley? I don't want to mess that up. Let me know if I'm saying it right or wrong, or if you could type out how exactly to pronounce it. See, every time we argue, I resent her more. Yeah, negative is going to do that. Oh yeah, it's definitely true. The angry Australian. Are you in Australia, or is that just the name you picked out? Brownie lovers, hey, how you doing? So here's the thing that, I've had to learn. I'm about to be 40 years old. This is what I learned in my 20s and early 30s is that whenever you get into a relationship, you're always going to have differences. You're always going to have the backgrounds of your life and her life are always going to be different because one, for my guys that are watching this, we're men, right? And the woman that you're with is a woman. There's a difference already in that. You could live, you could, your sisters, your siblings that are girls, right? That are women now. You could have the same, you grew up with the same mom and dad, went to the same school, played the same, all that stuff. There's going to be a difference because you're a man and she's a woman. So now taking into consideration that not just the difference of you being a man and her being a woman, I want you to think about the background. How was she raised? How were you raised? Excuse me. You have to take that in consideration because different backgrounds sometimes they clash because maybe you were raised and taught to value money a certain way. You were taught to budget, you were taught to save. Maybe you grew up and you didn't have a lot of money, Maybe you grew up like that, but your woman, maybe she wasn't taught that at all. Maybe she had a high allowance, maybe she was always spoiled. There's going to be differences. That little thing right there is always going to start an argument and it's always going to be frustrating because it's differences of backgrounds, but also your paradigms, your perspectives, how you see things, how you view the world, and also how you were taught to live in this world. Those things clash. Now, going back to what I was going to say is when it's differences like that, do you really think that it's always going to be smooth sailing? It's not. It's not always going to be smooth sailing because there's differences. There's always going to be something that comes up. It doesn't matter, even if the woman respects you, even if you're being a leader, there's always going to be differences in opinions, differences on what you think is right, what you think is wrong. You're always going to have differences. But the thing is, how do you handle it? And the problem happens when you don't handle it correctly, when you don't handle it in a way that is effective, not just for the relationship, but also for yourself. Because a lot of times I see guys that I work with where they say some things when they're in a heated argument with their woman. They say some things that they regret later on because it was the heat of the moment. And then later on, they have to deal with it. And they're coming to me like, what do I do? You know, blah, 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 this and that. And now she feels this way about me. Now she sees me like this and that. And I tell them that what you have to do, and this is very important, and this is kind of going into what I'm talking about on this video and this live, is that you have to take inventory on yourself. You have to take inventory on yourself. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is all your life, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, however old you are, you've always dealt with things a certain way. You've always dealt with things a certain way. And whenever there's conflict or whenever there's a disagreement, whatever it is, what happens is how you are, how you handle things, that comes out. That's the reason why even my son, I always teach him if he gets, throws his tantrum or whatever, always tell him, like, hey, breathe, relax, breathe. I want you to think about it. Why are you getting upset? Take a moment, because it's teaching him a skill. It's teaching him a skill of how to handle whenever there's conflicts, whenever there's adversity. It's teaching him a skill of how to handle himself, not anybody else outside of him, not to control anybody, but to control himself and to really focus in on what he can't control. So going back to what I was saying, when you're in a situation and it's unfavorable, or you're in a situation that really frustrates you, that pressure will squeeze out exactly what is inside of you. And if you don't have the skill of relaxation or being calm or being patient, it's fight or flight. It's your survival. You know what I'm talking about. Somebody pisses you off, somebody cuts you off. Me, I personally hate this. Let me know if you hate this. I hate this when I go to a Starbucks and somebody is in front of me, but they are maybe a car, almost a car and a half behind the person in front of them. So I'm like, why don't you pull up so that way I could take my order? I know it sounds petty, but I hate that shit. But the thing is, it used to bother me, but it doesn't bother me anymore because I realized that you don't know what's going on in that person's mind. You don't know what's going on in the car. You don't know what that person is doing or why they are doing what they're doing. All I know is I can control myself. I can't control what they're doing. I can't get upset because maybe that's just what they do. If that's what they do, it shouldn't affect how I feel about the situation or myself. So going back to you, when you are in a relationship and things aren't going the way you want them to go with your woman or your wife, your girlfriend, fiance, whatever, you have to take inventory and figure out, why is it that I get upset when she does this or says this? Why is it that I get upset when she does this or says this? You have to take inventory and really explore, you know what, why do I get upset about that? Why do I get angry? Why do I get mad? When you take inventory on yourself, you start to know yourself even more. I talk about this all the time, like, get to know yourself. You got to know yourself. But this is what it is. It's taking inventory on everything. And I don't necessarily like to use the word emotions, but that's just what it is. As men, we have emotions. We're not emotional. We don't act on our emotions, or we shouldn't act on our emotions like some people do, kids and some women. We need to learn how to understand and control those emotions so we don't act out on it. But the thing is, you take an inventory on everything that you think and feel whenever there's a conflict. And then when there's not a conflict, you have to think about, okay, what is it that really upsets me? What is what is the trigger, as they say? What is the trigger? Because When you understand yourself and you understand your triggers, I hate to use all this verbiage, but this is the best way I can explain it so you can understand what I'm saying. Give me a thumbs up if it makes sense. When you start to understand how you think, how you view things, why you get upset, why you feel a certain emotion, when you start to understand it and you put a label on it, you can control it and you can stop it from controlling you. But you have to take inventory on that, and it maybe you get into an argument, or maybe there's a disagreement, or maybe things blow up. Maybe it's every blue moon. Every blue moon, you get really angry, you get really frustrated, and maybe you're thinking, well, it's not that bad. We don't always get into an argument. We don't always get into a crazy disagreement, or we don't always yell or get really frustrated with each other. But when you do, take inventory. The next time you feel yourself getting upset or whatever emotion that you're getting at, you have to stop and think, okay, I was watching this live with this guy Saul that was in a car, and he was telling me to take inventory on myself. And so when that next time comes up, I want you to breathe, take a deep breath, and just think, okay, stop. Why am I feeling the way I feel? What did she say? What did she do to make me? And a woman can't make you do anything. I'm just using this as an example. Stop yourself and ask yourself, what is it that she did or said that makes me feel the way I feel right now? I want you to think about it. I know it may not be easy. It's not going to be the easiest thing. And I'm going to get to the reason why in a second. However, I want you to do that. I want you to take inventory on that. And when you are in that situation, hold on one second. I got to start this car up. Put some air on. So once you're in that situation and you are getting frustrated, and you can tell that you're getting pretty pissed off, take inventory of it. Take inventory of it. And the other thing that you want to do is you want to, as hard as this is going to sound, it's going to sound hard. It's going to be something that you don't think you can do, but you have to do it with practice. You want to do the opposite of what you usually do. You want to do the opposite of what you usually do. Because what is happening is you're starting to use your logical mind. You're starting to be more logical because, one, what did I say? Take a deep breath, right? That's one thing. And then take inventory of why you feel the way you feel based on what she said or did. That's more thinking. First, you're calming yourself down, then you're actually using the logic to think about it. And instead of reacting or getting very upset or acting out, you want to do the opposite of what you do. So if you scream, don't scream, just talk. If you, I'm just using examples, you may understand where I'm coming from, or this may happen to you. It's a lot of guys I work with, they tell me this stuff. You may get mad and slam the door. Instead of slamming the door, just close it softly. You may you may say backhanded compliments, right? You may, well, not even a backhanded compliment. You may say something that you're trying to hurt her, or you may say an insult. There we go. You may give her an insult. Instead of giving her an insult, just don't say anything. And I'm not saying that, instead of giving an insult, what's the opposite is to say something nice to her. No, you ain't got to say that. You don't have to say nothing nice. Just don't say nothing mean or insult her. That's one thing that you don't want to do. And the reason why I say you want to do this is because when you start to take inventory of yourself, you start to know yourself, you start to learn yourself, and then you're able to control yourself much more. You're able to control yourself much more because if all your life, or however long you've been in a relationship, or however long you've been dating a woman, or been in a relationship, whatever it is, whenever conflicts come up, your brain is used to reacting a certain way. You're it's like it's survival. So whenever you see danger, whenever you get upset or frustrated or mad at something she does, your mind is like, hey, we're under attack. We need to survive. So I'm going to get really angry. I'm going to say some things I'm going to regret later on. And your mind is doing that to protect you. And when you understand that, you'll understand that you have to do things differently. So now your mind is saying, hey, now we have other options. Just like I told you about, if you've been watching this, I was talking about how my son throws a little tantrum or whatever. You know, I don't scream at him, I don't whoop him, I don't get aggressive with him. Why? Because that's what he's going to think. If I don't get my way, then I get mad, I get aggressive, and I scream. But I teach him to calm down. Hey, calm down, breathe, take a breather. Why do you think you get upset? Because now for you guys, what you're doing is you're training your mind to have other options. You're training your mind to have other options because once you get upset, I can't even tell you how fast your mind goes from 0 to 100 because it's trying to protect you. You know, like back in the day when, we were cavemen and women and all this stuff, we didn't have time to really think about, like, oh, is that a saber-toothed tiger? I think, no, that's a cute dog. No, I don't. You didn't have time to think about that. So your mind is like, hey, we need to jump into survival right away. We either fight or we flight. And sometimes people freeze, but at the same time, we've evolved since then. Back in the 1600s, were there ways that you could talk to somebody on the phone like I'm talking to you guys now? No, there were not. However, we had to adapt, right? So when that comes to our fight or flight survival mechanism, you want to make sure that that's primed for actual attack. You want to, like I said, you have to train your mind that, okay, I'm in this situation with her, I'm getting upset. This is the reason why I'm getting upset. And take the inventory. And I'm going to always say this because once you take the inventory and you label it and you understand, like, oh, I get mad when she says this because this happened before, or that happened before, or I don't like this and that. And the interesting thing about it is, as hard as it is, I get it, as hard as it is, because some of you may feel like, okay, the only time she'll listen is if I raise my voice. The only time she'll listen is if I get aggressive or if I insult her or whatever it is. That's the only time she'll listen to me. But I'm here to tell you that, as crazy as this sounds, right? I want you to listen. As crazy as this sounds, when you are in fight or flight and you are being aggressive and angry and you're reacting, I want you to think about this. Think about this. As men, we have emotions. However, we're not emotional. We're not supposed to act out of character or react or be emotional like some kids and women or whatever. Now, I want you to think a woman being more emotional, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, she is in survival more than you are. I want you to understand that. Women are more emotional. So if they're more emotional and it gets to the level where you're arguing or you're frustrated with each other, she's already in fight or flight. She's already in fight or flight. That's the reason why you see a lot of women, they throw things. That's why you see women, they kick, they scratch, they say all kind of crazy stuff. You know what I'm talking about. It may not be your situation, but you know what I'm talking about. And that's because they're already in fight or flight. And so you being a male, a man, and her may feel hurt. She may not be afraid of you. Don't get it twisted just because you're a man and you may be bigger than her or you have a louder voice or you get loud. That doesn't necessarily mean that she's afraid of you. Understand that. However, in her mind, she may feel that she is really hurt. And if she's really hurt, they say hurt people hurt people. At the same time, as a man and as a leader, you have to be able to control yourself. As hard as it is, you have to be able to control yourself because once you, how can I put this? Once you're able to control yourself and you're able to not let your emotions control you, then you start to be able to live at a higher level. And what I mean by that, and I don't want to confuse it. If I'm confusing you, make sure you let me know in the comments because I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. This is the reason why a lot of relationships don't work out. This is the reason why a lot of relationships fail. And it's because a relationship is supposed to be functional. A relationship is supposed to be functional. Yeah, you have different backgrounds, you have different experiences, you have all this other stuff you're bringing into the relationship. However, a relationship is supposed to be functional. Now, in order for it to be functional, it can't be dysfunctional. In order for your relationship to be functional, it cannot be dysfunctional. And the thing about it is, your relationship can be exceptional. That's more than functional. But what happens is when you have all of these things that you're holding on to from the past, you have anger, you have resentment, all these things keep you in a state of dysfunction because it's not function. That's the whole reason why you're not having a functional relationship, because it's dysfunctional. And see, the thing about it is when you're able to understand what's going on, meaning you take inventory of yourself, okay, what exactly is going on? What do I feel? What do I notice? And you start to become that observer instead of reacting. You start becoming that observer and ask those questions. Then you will be able to really get yourself into the mindset of being more functional. Because if you don't understand the what, it's hard to understand the why. And if you don't understand the why, it's hard to understand the how. And what I mean by that, listen to me. What I mean by that is I could give you all of the tools, the tips, the trades, the secrets, everything when it comes to being an exceptional man in a relationship or having an exceptional relationship. But if you're at the level of dysfunction where you're not even at the level of functioning, it doesn't matter. It won't matter. It won't matter because I could say, hey, if you want your woman to really respect you, if you really want your woman to respect you, I could tell you this. Every day, I want you to give her a foot rub. When she comes home from work or whatever she does, if she's standing all day cooking, whatever, cleaning, whatever, every day, give your woman a foot rub. I want you to do that. Now, I could tell you to do that. You could actually do that. But the moment that you have a disagreement or argument about something totally different, guess what's going to happen? The you is going to come out, the dysfunction. You're going to feel some type of way. You're going to act some type of way. So is she. The argument is going to happen. It's going to blow up. And it's not going to get you where you want to go. Even though, like I told you, you give her a foot massage, she may, hey, I really enjoy it. I really appreciate it. I could tell that you care. I could tell that you are considerate. I appreciate you for giving me a foot rub. That's so amazing. She may even brag to her friends, like, yeah, girl, my husband or, my man gives me foot rubs every time I come home from work or every day. Like, it's amazing. But the thing is, there's still a dysfunction within you that is causing you to act out or react when things don't go your way or her way, or you have that disagreement. Now, the thing that you also need to do and also need to understand is when you have the inventory and you really understand yourself, and you have to be honest, it's not easy work. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not easy work. You have to be fucking honest with yourself. You have to be. It doesn't matter what it is. Nobody's going to know. I'm not going to know. She's not going to know. The only person who's going to know is you. And the thing is, What is it that really bothers you? Are you resentful? Are you angry? Are you in fear? Sorry about that. Those things you have to really understand, because some of the guys I talk to, they tell me, like, hey, I've never told anybody this. I'm 46 years old. I'm 39 years old. I never told anybody this, that, you know, have insecurities about this, or I have resentment about this. Something happened 20 years ago. You know, those little things, as crazy as it sounds, those little things, you have to really understand what those things are that are keeping you at a level of dysfunction. Because here's the cool thing about it. Here's the cool thing about it, man. Here's the amazing fucking thing about it. Once you understand those things that are keeping you at a level of dysfunction, you work on those things. You're not, you don't have to work on her or worry about what she's doing or not doing, or the relationship. We need to work on this, we need to work on that. No, you take those things that you took inventory on and you work on those things. If you have a problem with fear, start doing shit that helps you become more confident. If you have a problem with anger, start learning about anger, emotions, everything you can. You don't need to take a fucking decade, but you have to start understanding what it is you feel and why it is you feel that way. Understand what it is you feel and why it is you feel that way. Really, I'm dead fucking serious, because it's too many guys that I talk to that they hold on to so much shit for all these years, and it's just extra baggage that just, it's like it gets heavy every year, every decade. It just keeps getting heavier and heavier, and they bring that into one relationship. That relationship doesn't work out, they break up. Or they bring it into one marriage, that marriage doesn't work out, and they get divorced. And they keep wondering why. Why is it always like this? They never get a break. It's always this and that, and nobody's looking out for them, because it's all of those things that they've been carrying that they never unpack. Because the moment that you unpack, sometimes when you unpack some of that shit, it's a lot of stuff there that you don't want to look at. And sometimes you put things on the back burner. You know, I'm not trying to go all the way down the rabbit hole. However, what I'm saying is, excuse me. However, what I'm saying is, that's something you have to really understand. You have to really figure out, is what is it that you're holding on to? What is it that you're holding on to that's so heavy that it doesn't come out until you get into a conflict or argument, disagreement with your woman, and it makes you do some crazy things. It makes you say some crazy things. You have to figure that shit out, guys. You have to figure it out. Because once you figure that out and you work on those things, you understand, this, okay, here it is. It's all here. This is what's going on. Once you pull those things out and you work on them, then you will, how can I put this? You will be out of the level of dysfunction, and you'll be more functional. And then the great thing about it is, when you've truly worked on yourself, when you've truly worked on yourself, that allows you to really understand and have compassion and understanding for your woman. Because because sometimes, not all the time, sometimes your situation and whatever's causing your dysfunction, sometimes it's a lot worse than hers. Not all the time, not all the time, but sometimes it's a lot worse and deeper than hers. But when you're able to really work on your own shit, and you see yourself as, oh shit, I'm just a human. She's a human. This this is this is understandable. These are the things I need to work on. Oh, okay, I see why she said that. I see why she says this. I see why she does that. I see why she does this. And you have more compassion, and you can bring her up to the level of function. Does that make sense? I want you to let me know if that makes sense. Because as a leader, you can't ignore your own shit. As Michael Jackson said, you know, I'm looking at the man in the mirror, asking him to change his ways or something like that. I can't remember exactly how the song goes. I've heard it plenty of times, but if you want to make the world a better place, you have to look in the mirror and make a change. And that's the same thing in your relationship. If you want your relationship to be functional or exceptional, you might have to look in the mirror and make a change. And maybe you're the one that's causing it to be dysfunctional because you're in dysfunction. Maybe she's healthy, maybe she's in functional and she wants to be exceptional, but you're bringing her down. And sometimes it's the complete opposite. But the thing is, when you work on yourself, then you know in your heart, in your mind that, hey, I worked on my shit. I'm seeing results outside of this relationship. I'm starting to see a little bit in this relationship. And if you start to see patterns within her, then there's probably some things that she has to work on. That's not necessarily for you to tell her or force her to do. However, when she sees that you're working on your own shit and she sees the results of how you're acting and not reacting and how you're responding when things hit the fan or you're in a situation where you're arguing or well, not even arguing, when there's a disagreement, she sees that you don't escalate it to a level like you used to, then she'll start to sit back and wonder like, now there's no reason for her to be in survival mode because you're not taking it from 0 to 100. Now she's starting to realize that, wow, he really worked on himself. Like, fuck, maybe it's me. Let me examine myself and see what the fuck's going on with me, you know? But as a leader, and here's the thing, you lead by example. You lead by example. When I was in the Marine Corps, that was the biggest thing because I'm gonna just be honest. If a motherfucker was trying to tell me to do something and he couldn't do it, I'm not gonna fucking listen to you or respect you. I'm just not. I just unqualified authority just doesn't it doesn't rub right with me. I just no. But the one that says, "Hey, Sergeant Palmer, this is what needs to be done," and he has a fucking track record of doing what he says he's going to do, and he has a track record of doing what he tells others to do. Roger that. I'm gonna get it done. That's just how it is. But I want you to understand that's how women are too. Because if you say you're going to do something or you're not able to lead yourself, she's not going to have the confidence to trust you. She's not going to have the confidence to listen to what you're saying. And that's the worst position you want to be in because sometimes if she needs to listen to you and she's not, I'm not saying it's a life or death situation. However, it can be detrimental to the relationship, just like that. But that's the biggest things, guys, is really the next time you get into an argument or disagreement and you see that it's about to escalate, I want you to take a step back and breathe. Breathe because one, you're telling your body and your mind that it's not a threat. Like I said before, your mind doesn't know if we are still in caveman times. Your mind doesn't know if this is the 1600s, the 1700s, and we're about to go to war. Your mind doesn't know it. It just knows that there was a response that caused you to think a certain way, and when you think a certain way, that triggers your emotion. And so if you think like, okay, she's pissing me off, she's making me upset, your body and your mind already think that it's a threat. So it goes into fight or flight. It doesn't know if it was 1776 or if it's 2026. It doesn't know that. The mind is so crazy. But when you breathe, you slow everything down. You activate your parasympathetic nervous system. I'm not trying to get too technical or scientific, but that's what it is. And what that does is it causes you to rest and digest, meaning you're more relaxed. And when you're more relaxed, guess what? You can think clearly instead of reacting. And so when you do that, now you're clear. Now you're not reacting. Now you're relaxed. Now what you can do is take inventory and ask yourself, damn, why do I feel like that? Why did what she say piss me off? Why did? You start to question that. You start to label it. And then instead of doing what you usually do in an argument or disagreement, you do the opposite or something different, something that is not negative or disempowering, something that you won't regret later on. And every time, I don't care what it is, because I tell my guys, it's not just when your woman pisses you off or gets on your nerves or you get upset with her. It's other things at your job, out in traffic, whatever it is. Just first start to breathe. Because the only thing you can do, and I want you to hear me on this, the only thing you can do, even when you're in a coma, is breathe. You may not be able to think straight. You may knock the fuck out. But as long as you're able to breathe, use the power of the breath. As long as you're able to breathe, use the power of the breath, because the breath is what can calm you down. The breath is what can calm you down. And when you calm yourself down with the breath, then you can think clearly and logically. And so when you can think clearly and logically, you can start to make sense of things and pull yourself out of that dysfunction so you can be functional. And then once you're functional and you and your woman are on the same page, then guess what? Then you can be exceptional. And that's what I help guys with. I help guys get out of that dysfunction, because that's dysfunction. It bleeds over to every fucking thing. I know you know those guys that come to work and you could just tell that they're not happy at home. You could just tell that it's just they either stay late or they come in early or they have the work wife, and you could just tell. Or you have a buddy or a friend that maybe it's a colleague. You could just tell that like something ain't right at home. Like, I don't think he's happy at home. You could just tell that. It bleeds into everything else. So when you're able to really work on yourself and really do the inventory, you're not just going to get and see results in your relationship. You're going to be able to see and get results in any endeavors, at your work, at your job. If you have your own business, your employees, your clients, whatever, they're going to see a difference in how you act. So is your family. Because when your mind is just used to fight or flight, and it's used to reacting, and it's used to just the negativity, and it's just a loop that goes over and over, you start to say things that you don't even know that you're saying. When you're with your friend, you may say something like, "Oh yeah, that bitch," blah blah blah. Like it's your mind is just used to saying that. But like I said before, when you start to change all of that, then you'll start to be more responsive. You'll start to be more confident. You'll start to lead better. And everybody, I'm telling you, you may not understand this, but everybody sees it. And the last thing I want to leave you with is it's just like if you have a certain mindset about something particular, if you have a certain mindset about something and you really think that in your heart, in your mind, you start to attract what you don't like. If it's a negative thing, you start to attract what you don't like. So if you think that all women are dot 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 something negative or something disempowering, if you really think that, life will show you that. It will show up, and then it will validate what you think. And so therefore, when it validates what you think, you'll start to see it even more. And it starts to validate what you think and what you saw, and you start to see it more. That's why you have to be very careful about taking on another person's ideas, another person's paradigms, how they see the world. Because when you start to do that, it starts to affect you. It's the contagious. It's like avoid the contagious and the unlucky. Because if you don't, that shit will seep into your subconscious mind, the mind that you don't necessarily have conscious control over, and you'll start to act and think a certain way, and you'll wonder, why the fuck do I act like that? Why am I thinking about this? Why is these people acting like you? That's the reason why. It's way deeper than that, and we're not gonna go into that on this video. But I just wanted to get on here and just tell you that when you're in a level of dysfunction or dysfunctional, when you're in a level of dysfunction, The only way you can get to functional is by doing the things that I said earlier. If you've watched this whole video, you know what I'm talking about. If you're watching the replay, make sure you watch it from the beginning. We go really deep in it. But that's what it is, guys. Is controlling you. Controlling you, because the more you can control yourself and have control over your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, how you act, when you have full control over yourself, it's hard as fuck for somebody else to control you. When you have full control over yourself, it is hard as fuck for someone else to control you. But see, the thing that fucked a lot of people up is COVID. Now, it's just hear me out. Just hear me out. The reason why I say that is because COVID made a lot of people look outside of themselves, to fear other people, what other people are doing. Oh, you didn't get a shot, you're bad. Oh, put your mask. Because the moment that you try to control things outside of you, the moment that you're not focused on inside of you and you're focused on everyone else outside and they're bad and this and that, the moment that you leave yourself basically and you're focused on everybody else, you've lost all control. You've lost all control. And that's what the media, the news, the people don't, and when I say people, just people that are in power, people that, this isn't no matrix talk or nothing like that. I'm just saying that, think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying. If you're upset about somebody for things that they have control over that has nothing to do with you, question that. Why are you upset with somebody because they did or didn't get a shot for COVID? Why are you upset with somebody because they didn't or did wear a mask? Why are you upset with somebody because they did or didn't vote for the person that you thought they should vote for? Think about that. Think about that. Because the more you are not focused on yourself and the more you're focused on other people, you'll never be able to take inventory and you'll never be able to pull yourself out of the dysfunction that you're in right now. You won't be able to because you're so focused. You're like out there. You have to reel it back in. You have to reel it back in and really focus on yourself. I'm telling you. But wasn't trying to get too deep on this video. Just wanted to come out here and leave a positive message, something for you to think about, something for you to really dissect and really add to your life, because we only get one life and you got to make the best of it. And if you're in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know what I'm talking about. If you're younger, hey, start doing something today that will make your future better. You don't want to live a future that you're going to regret. You don't want to live a future that you're going to regret. So in order to do that, do what I said in this video and you'll see a difference. You'll see a change. And now you know the reason why when you get upset or you get into an argument with your woman and you feel a certain type of way, now you know. Now you know why. That's just how it is. If you're popping on here and you haven't watched the full video, I highly recommend you watch the video from the beginning. Hopefully YouTube won't do no stupid shit because we've been on here for about 50 minutes. Hopefully it'll upload, But that's about it. If you guys got any questions, make sure you send them to Saul@saulpalmer.com, or you send them to my Gmail account, coachsaulpalmer@gmail.com. And if you're that guy out there that is dating right now and you want to make sure you choose the right woman, that you don't fall into the trap that a lot of these guys fall into that are married, are in a relationship, but they're unhappy, they're miserable, they're dysfunctional, hop on a call with me. We can see where you're at and see exactly how to put you on that path to where you can choose the right woman and know what to look out for, what to watch for, what everything, all the inventory, the stuff I talked about earlier. That's what we talk about And the same thing to my guys that are in relationships. Maybe you feel lost right now. Maybe you feel that, this relationship thing isn't what you thought it was going to be. Or maybe this marriage isn't what you thought it was going to be. And you just don't know what to do. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you feel deflated. Maybe you just feel like you need another guy to talk to because you can't trust the guys at your job. You can't trust your family members. Hell, you can't trust a therapist. I get it. Reach out to me. I want you guys to book a clarity session. It's 45 minutes. It's not a coaching call. This is a clarity session to really dissect where you're at and see what exactly is the problem and why it's happening. So that way you know exactly how to move forward with confidence. Because at the end of this call, no matter if you're dating or if you're in a relationship or you're married, at the end of this call, you will have the confidence to make the right decision and move forward on that decision. But other than that, I'm going to read these comments and see what you guys are talking about. And I will send you on your way. You guys have a great evening, great morning, wherever you're at in the world. And I'll talk to you guys later. This has been a really good one. Let's see. What time we argue? Oh, yeah. Did that happen? No. Earlier when I was younger, Paisley, when I was younger, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but as far as being upset and angry in my early relationship, yeah. I mean, yeah, come on. That's how you learn, man. Fair, speaking facts. Chief, what's going on, Chief Edits? Make sure you subscribe, man. Wow, you really look like Forrest Whitaker. Wow. It cracked me up, man. Let's see. But yeah, Paisley, I appreciate it, man. Okay, I gotta go to bed. You have good nice. Have a blessed day. Thank you. Hey, good night, Paisley. I want you to subscribe, man. When I start doing my lives all the time, I'll make a schedule. I figured out. But when I start doing my lives, man, definitely make you a moderator. Let me screenshot this so I don't forget you. All right. But other than that, you guys take care. Watch this from the beginning if you're just now popping in, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.